travel. When we can move so fast, it's easy to miss the beauty of the slow. This is the story of my Camino and how it changed me. The Camino de Santiago is an extensive network of ancient pilgrimage routes, all leading to the famous cathedral in Santiago de Compostela. Dating back to medieval times, people have been walking the Camino for more than 1,000 years, embarking on the journey for a magnitude of reasons, including religion, spiritual enlightenment, and personal growth. But for me, my journey began with a crime. This is a police report from the day before I was supposed to begin cycling the Camino with my dad. We were planning to cycle the Via de la Plata. So we travelled via ferry from the UK to Santander in the north of Spain, then drove all the way down to the start point in Seville. But, tragically, the day before we were supposed to start our Camino, my bike was stolen from right under our nose. I had no option but to head home and leave my dad to start the Camino by himself. Back home in rainy England, and devastated at having this experience snatched away from me, I was determined to not let this be the end of the story. So, I had an idea. I was going to go back and walk it instead. Walking is by far the most common way to complete the Camino, with the Camino Francés the most popular route among pilgrims. As a plan B, I thought this would be my best bet. So off I went to the French village of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port.
Think I got that right.
It was here that I would start my 500-mile walk across Spain. That first day may have been challenging in terms of incline, but equally held some of the most breathtaking scenery. It truly was a sight to behold as I crossed the Pyrenees to the Spanish border. Now, as I'm sure most people who've completed the Camino would attest, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's your own journey. But here's the mistake I felt I made. I treated it as a challenge. I wanted to get to the end as fast as I could. Looking back, I think this approach originated from the bike being stolen. I felt hard done by and wanted to prove something by getting to the end as quickly as possible. So, as the other pilgrims stopped for the first night in the Roncesvalles monastery, after an already long day, I walked on. I then repeated this for the next couple days, storming off ahead, not allowing myself time to chill out, talk to people, or take in the cool stuff along the way. As if this isn't already enough of a sign, I think the universe has a funny way of telling you when you're doing something wrong. So, by the end of day 3, exhausted from a nearly 50-kilometre day, an injured foot and low spirits, I decided to take a shortcut. I opened Google Maps and realised I could shave off a good 30 minutes from my planned stop by coming off the Camino track, which sounded great, until it took me onto a main road and I had to hide in some bushes. Knew I had to find my way out of that one somehow, so I decided to wait for a gap in the traffic and make a run for it. Where of course, within seconds, I was greeted by a police car. Fortunately, I wasn't arrested. The 2 officers kindly agreed to drive me up the road out of harm's way, but I felt this was a clear sign I was doing things wrong. I woke up the next morning feeling pretty miserable. I remember working out how many days I had left and had the daunting realization I'd barely started. So, as I headed to the pharmacy to get some painkillers for my foot, I decided to go about things differently. The free wine tap on the side of a church probably helped, but I started that day with a far more relaxed approach. Didn't worry about distance, took breaks when I wanted to, chatted to people along the way, and generally had a way better time. When that day drew to a close, I think I was starting to understand what the Camino was about. That evening, I ended up having dinner with a group of pilgrims from my albergue. They had all met each other while walking and just seemed like a lovely bunch. I walked with them the next day as they went to a local festival. Then, without planning it, as the days went on, I ended up sticking with them. Stop and smell the roses. This captures pretty well what the rest of my Camino experience was like. It was also the name of our WhatsApp group, which slowly grew as the days went on. Strangers from across the world, walking and talking. Beautifully simple. My foot got better, and it's funny how as soon as I started walking with the group, I stopped worrying about the distance or counting the days left. It was just this lovely bubble of conversations, cooking, eating, drinking, sunrises, sunsets, villages, towns, cities, so many stamps, locals, laughter, albergues, unforgettable scenery. Rain, but mostly sun. Group yoga sessions, cats, dogs, blisters, siestas.
Damn it! Damn it!
Which could be quite annoying when trying to find lunch. The day off for the midsummer celebration. Music, busyness, emptiness, tortillas, plenty of arrows, plenty of shells, and a whole lot of life. Of course, it doesn't mean I had no more tough days, but they just felt so much more manageable. Probably my favourite day of the whole experience was with Eric, a Swedish guy from my group. He had heard about this alternative route outside Villafranca del Bierzo. Not many pilgrims opt to walk it due to its challenging nature, but the great views make it worthwhile, so we decided to give it a go. Where we of course found out why it's not very popular, as we got lost in the woods for about 3 hours. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't that fun in the moment, having to clamber through the dense vegetation, but there was something so special about problem solving together and the elation we felt when we did make it out.
Buen Camino.
Buen Camino. Not long later, we came across a farm and asked the farmer for some water. I think he could tell we were a bit out of sorts as he offered us wine. To go from this, thinking you're majorly stuck, to this, like 20 minutes later, was very surreal. Then we found those views. Not a day I'll forget in a hurry. I think that's the beauty of the Camino, how you can witness so much nuance of the human experience. Looking back, I can't help but think how different my experience would have been if I did keep rushing ahead. How much I would have missed by focusing on finishing it. Silly, really. Because, as cliche as it sounds, in the end, it really is about the journey. And in case you're wondering, my dad did make it to Santiago, without losing the other bike. He came and met me while I was still walking. We shared stories and had some beers, and realised despite the rocky start, all had worked out okay for us. Unfortunately, regular life doesn't always feel like walking the Camino. In the end, you all go home, and the months go by. It's easy to slip back into the autopilot of work and routine. It can be harder to see the beauty in each day, but it's still there. Because there was nothing extraordinary about the Camino, not really. It just removed a lot of the bullshit in life for a short, special time. Focusing on the simple joys of nature, movement, and connection. Society would have you believe you need so much more to feel this level of contentment. Yet, ironically, I felt it by removing most of these things. Which of course suggests a lot of what we need is already in front of us. We just need to try and see it more clearly. Or, to put it another way, try to remember to stop and smell the roses.